The moment I heard her shriek 911 over my fence, I knew my perfect Saturday was about to go sideways. She told the dispatcher there was a gang of dangerous men in my neighbor's backyard. And by gang, she meant me standing in my own yard with 3 friends and a beer. What our HOA president didn't know was the 4 criminals she was describing were all off-duty cops, including me. My name's Marcus Reed. I work for Clearwater Springs PD, and after years of overtime and tiny apartments, I finally bought a modest place on Maple Ridge Lane, inside Maple Ridge Estates, the kind of neighborhood where lawns look like carpet, and the HOA feels like a second government. That Saturday was one of those rare golden days, warm sun, charcoal in the air, and for once my 3 closest friends had the same day off. Tyler, Ramon, and Chris. We were in my fenced backyard, burgers on the grill, debating movies, laughing like normal guys for a change, and I remember thinking, man, I needed this. Then I got that prickle at the back of my neck. I glanced toward the fence and caught a flicker of blonde hair, someone watching through the slats. I almost ignored it until my side gate latch rattled. The gate creaked open, and Linda Carver walked in like she owned the place. Blonde bun pulled tight, pink velour tracksuit. Chin up, hands on hips, eyes scanning us like she was hunting violations. The conversation died. I kept my voice polite. "Hi, can I help you?" Her glare sharpened. "I heard you people from my kitchen. Loud language. Carrying on like this is some kind of party." Chris blinked. "We don't even have music on." Ramon tried the calm approach. "Ma'am, we're just talking. It's a quiet afternoon." Linda snapped so fast it was almost impressive. "Don't you lie to me. I know what kind of men you are." Tyler stood, big guy, chair scraping. I gave him a subtle look to stay calm, because I could already see where this was headed. I stepped forward. "Ma'am, you're on private property." "My property. You need to leave." A normal person would have backed out. Linda puffed up. "This neighborhood has standards. We don't allow gatherings like this." I stared at her, waiting for the moment she realized how ridiculous she sounded. Instead, her mouth curled into a smug smile, like she'd just remembered she had a weapon. "Fine," she said, pulling out her phone. "I'm calling the police. We'll see who's right." And then she performed pacing across my lawn while she talked to dispatch. "Yes, 911. There are aggressive men in my neighbor's backyard. They're threatening me. I'm terrified. Please hurry." She kept glancing at us between fake gasps, making sure we watched her build the lie. Hearing sirens come toward your house when you've done nothing wrong is a special kind of nausea, even when you wear the uniform. Training makes you run scenarios anyway. Linda straightened like she was about to accept an award for civic bravery. 2 officers entered my yard, one young and tense, the other seasoned Sergeant Daniel Miller. I recognized Miller from the precinct. His eyes swept the scene grill chairs. 4 calm guys, then settled on me. "Marcus," he said, recognition flickering. "Hey, Sarge," I replied. His gaze moved to Tyler, Ramon, and Chris, and the whole picture clicked for him. He turned back to Linda, patient tone sliding into steel. "Ma'am, do you know who these men are?" Linda lifted her chin. "Dangerous individuals. Probably not even from this neighborhood." Miller didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "They're officers. All of them. And you entered this yard without permission. That's trespassing." For 1 second, I thought she'd retreat. Instead, her embarrassment turned to rage. "This is corruption," she screeched. "You're covering for each other." Miller cut her off. "Leave the property. Now." Linda stabbed a finger at me like I was the reason her fantasy collapsed. "This isn't over," she hissed, then stormed out, and slammed my gate hard enough to rattle the panels. Miller took a quick statement, logged it as false reporting and trespass, and before he left, he gave me that look like, "Buddy, buckle up." We cleaned up the backyard in silence. The burgers went cold. The good mood evaporated. Later that night, my phone started lighting up with Facebook notifications from the neighborhood group Maple Ridge Neighbors and Friends. Linda had posted an urgent safety alert with my address. She described me and my friends as aggressive, intoxicated, possibly gang-affiliated suspected drug activity, and she implied the responding officers refused to act because they were friends with the men. Comments piled up fast. People thanking her. People demanding a meeting. People saying this is exactly why we have an HOA. A couple folks defended me weakly, but fear travels faster than truth, and Linda knew it. The next morning, a crisp HOA envelope was taped to my door. Notice of violation. 3 of them. Unapproved outdoor gathering, noise nuisance, unsightly, exterior storage, because my folding chairs and cooler were visible for a few hours. Remedy in 24 hours. Daily fines. It was petty, but it was also strategic, and Ramon said it out loud when I texted the guys. She's building a paper trail. Don't react. That was hard, because everything in me wanted to go over there and end it. But I'd seen this play before, just in different uniforms. Shape perception first, then squeeze financially, then provoke a reaction, then act shocked when you finally snap. That night, Chris came to my kitchen table with his laptop open. "Marcus, you're not random to her." He turned the screen toward my Ethan Carver, Linda's son, opioid trafficking case, arresting officer Marcus J. Reed. My stomach dropped. I remembered the case, not just the paperwork, but the mothers, the overdoses, the courtroom screaming. Linda wasn't just power hungry. She was carrying a grudge with a target, and my last name was it. Suddenly her tone made sense, the way she looked at me, like I wasn't a neighbor. I was a villain from her past. The man she'd decided ruined her life. And that's the twist that changed everything for me, because it meant this wasn't going to burn out with time. It was going to escalate until somebody got hurt. 2 nights later, the conflict crossed a line. My backyard motion light popped on, and I heard a metallic crash. I ran out with a flashlight and caught a figure in black crouched by my AC unit swinging a crowbar. He hammered it like he hated the sound of comfort itself, then turned eyes cold and spray-painted one word across my siding in dripping red pig. He vaulted the fence and vanished. Patrol documented the damage and called it felony vandalism. I stood there, shaking, not scared. Furious, because that wasn't a neighbor dispute anymore. That was an attack, and it was meant to make my home feel unsafe. That's when we stopped treating it like HOA drama and started treating it like what it was. Targeted harassment with a paper trail, and now a crime scene. We installed cameras the next day. Doorbell, side gate, backyard angles. I kept a log with timestamps, screenshots of her posts, copies of every violation. Mike Carter. An attorney friend told me the same thing Ramon had, just in lawyer language. Stay clean, stay calm. Let evidence do the damage. So we flipped the script. We made Linda think the investigation was closing in, without giving her anything she could claim was a threat. I carried a thick folder to my car, blank pages inside, and drove to the station in plain view of her curtains. Then I came home and waited. About an hour later, my doorbell camera picked up her pacing on her porch. Phone pressed to her ear. Voice loud. Sharp. Frantic. A man answered. Rough voice. "Why are you calling me?" "Donnie." Linda hissed. "We have a problem. He knows." Donnie growled. "He doesn't know anything. He went to the station." She snapped. "He's trying to pin this on me and you." Silence then. Donnie's voice came colder. "What did you tell him?" Linda's voice dropped smaller. "Nothing, but you need to be careful." Donnie snapped back. "Careful? You said this would be easy. You said scare him. Bury him in HOA nonsense," Linda hissed. "You're the one who spray-painted his house." Donnie's voice turned hard. "I smashed his AC because you paid me. I did exactly what you wanted. If I go down, you're going down." Yeah, that happened. We didn't celebrate. We just stared at the screen, because for the first time this wasn't my word against hers. It was her own voice tying money and motive to a felony. The HOA meeting the next day felt like walking into a courtroom made of beige carpet and folding chairs. Neighbors whispered when I walked in. Some scared. Some smug. Some embarrassed. Linda sat at the front with the board pearls and clipboard, trying to look untouchable. But her hands trembled around her water bottle. Mike stood up calm as a metronome and laid everything out at the false 911 report. The trespass, the violations, the defamation, post, the vandalism case number. Linda tried to bulldoze with volume. "I was protecting this community." Mike nodded once. "Then you won't mind hearing your own words." Chris hit play, and the room changed. You could hear people inhale. You could hear Linda's voice on the recording, panicked and mean, and Donnie's confession landing like a hammer. Linda tried to talk over it. "That's out of context. But there's no context. Where you paid me to smash his AC turns innocent." The treasurer looked like he might faint. The secretary stared at Linda like she'd never met her. And then Detective Henderson stepped into the aisle, calm professional, like this was the part that had to happen. "Linda Carver," he said. "I need you to come with me." Her face broke. "No. No, this is a mistake." But her voice didn't carry power anymore. It carried fear. They guided her toward the doors, and the same people who'd cheered her Facebook post went quiet, staring at the floor, like they were realizing what happens when you hand the wrong person a little authority. I watched her leave, not triumphant, just exhausted. Because it's a strange thing to win a fight you never asked for. And here's what I want to know from you, because people still argue about it. Should I have played that recording in front of the whole neighborhood? Some say I humiliated a grieving mother and turned a private mess into public spectacle. Others say she weaponized grief prejudice and HOA power to try to ruin my name, then paid for intimidation when paperwork wasn't enough, and the neighborhood deserved to hear the truth. Honestly, I still go back and forth because I didn't want revenge. I wanted my home back, so tell me this. If you were in my shoes, would you have exposed her right there at the meeting or kept it quiet and trusted the system to handle it behind closed doors? Do you think Linda was driven by grief, power bias, or all of it at once? Drop your take in the comments. And if you've ever dealt with an HOA tyrant or a neighbor who abused authority, tell your story too, because I swear these streets look peaceful until they don't. You know what I mean? If this hit a nerve, hit like, subscribe, and tell me your take in the comments.